What do beam elements show you that solid models don't? If you only look at the stress plot in your FEA simulation models, you may know where the maximum stress is. But beam elements can show you how the loads are actually traveling through the structure, which elements are in tension, which ones are in compression, where is shear being transferred, where are the highest bending moments. That is what we are going to analyze in this video. Because solid models show you results, beam elements show you behavior. Let's go for it. Hi, Carlos here, and for those of you who don't know me yet, I've been more than 12 years validating real engineering FEA projects across different industries. That's why I created my validation method to teach FEA the way industry actually demands. And today we are going to continue reviewing concepts from that methodology. This is the video number 3 of the beam elements series. So if you didn't see the previous ones before, I will leave you the links below so you can take a look to understand the complete picture. Today we are going to talk about some of the key results we are going to obtain from the beam elements. To understand how a beam is loaded, we need to review a little bit of the theory from university. If you studied structural mechanics, you probably remember calculating things like axial force, shear force, and bending moments, right? Here we have an example of a beam. We have a configuration of loads, one load distributed and two punctual loads. The beam is fixed in 2 points, and if you remember when we were analyzing all of this in university, we had to obtain the efforts from that beam, mainly the axial and shear forces diagrams and the bending moment diagrams, obtaining the final result like this. Remember? But here is the point. Most of the times, as FEA engineers, we never look at them again. We jump straight into the stress plot, right? And completely miss how the structure is actually working. And that's a mistake because beam elements will give us all the information about the structural behavior. They are not just faster simulation, it's understanding the behavior of our structure. Then let's take a look how to manage with all of this. We start with the axial efforts. Okay, as you know, if we talk about the axial forces, these forces will be acting in the direction of the beam. In structural engineering, this is the first thing we want to know. Positive axial force will mean tension, the member is being pulled, and negative axial force will mean compression, the member is being pushed. Why does this matter? Because a member in tension, a member in compression can fail in completely different ways. For example, a beam in tension is suffering yielding under tension, and a beam in compression can provoke a buckling phenomena. Your design strategy changes completely depending on which one you are dealing with. Let's review these concepts in our project. Okay, here we continue with the water tank structure project from previous videos of this series. The plot that I'm showing you is the axial force plot of our beam model. What we can see, look at the color distribution. Here I want to give you one of the key takeaway concepts of this video regarding to the color plot and the signs of the values that we can see. By default, we know that the red color and positive value means tension, and the blue color and negative values mean compression. But if I show you the loads we applied here, we can see the direction of the loads pointing to this pillar. This one and this one were pointing here. So we would expect that this pillar is in compression, right? So why the software is showing it in red and positive? Well, basically in Solidworks simulation, the axial forces in beam elements follow different sign conventions because they come from the internal element force, which means positive and red color compression, and negative and blue color in tension. This is because the internal element forces are defined along the local beam axial. This is one of the main discussions we have always in my training programs, so let me know in the comments if this is clear. And to corroborate this assumption, let's check the axial stress plot. Okay, here we have it. What we can see, in the contrary of what we were seeing in the axial effort diagram, the stress plot in this pillar is showing different color and different sign, right? Blue and negative values. So yes, the stress plot is following the classical stress tensor convention that we all know from theory. Meaning the same, the profile is in compression. A little bit confused, but once you know that, you will consider that in your next analysis. That's all. The important thing here is this conclusion. The pillar is in compression. And with that criteria, we could continue analyzing the rest of the beam. Good. Let's review the next one. If you like the content of this video, I will really appreciate you a like, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of the next videos of this series. And if you want to learn how to actually apply all of this in real engineering projects using my validation method, you can find all the details in the description below. Let's continue. Now we move to the shear force. The shear force is the internal force that works perpendicular to the member axis. In a frame structure like the model we are working with, shear forces are particularly important at the connection, because that's where shear transfer happens between members. And since most of the times we are working with 3D structures, we will have dedicated shear plots in two directions, direction 1 and direction 2, which correspond to the two local axes perpendicular to the beam axis. Let's take a look at the structure. Here we have the shear force diagram. I'm showing you the direction number 2, which is the global set direction, and this is the most interesting one since the higher load is applied in that direction, this one. Okay, what we can see? The peaks, the maximum shear values are located in the top connections and also in the bottom connections. As we saw before in the presentation, this is where shear is being transferred between members. And exactly, here is where we detected the critical stress values in the solid model in previous video. Therefore, if we start by running a beam analysis, we will know which connection design we will check the first one. Good. Let's review the next plot. And finally, here we have the bending moment. Basically, as we all know, the bending moment tells you how much the member is trying to rotate at each cross-section. Maximum bending moment means maximum stress at the extreme fibers of the beam, tension on one side and compression on the other side. If you remember, in university we used to calculate the bending moments diagram to find the critical cross-section, the one with the highest bending moment value. That's where the beam is most likely to fail in bending. And as we saw, for shear efforts, we will have also two directions to check the bending values in our beams. Let's take a look at the simulation. As we did with the shear efforts, I'm showing you the direction number 2 since it's the most critical one, this direction. Okay, what we can see here? We have the peak values in the two top connections where we had the peaks of stress. So this is what I was expecting. But how the bending moments are traveling through all the structure? We can see that the values are not so high in the middle of the structure, right? Why? Basically, this is because I did a design based on diagonalization. As we saw in the axial plot, all the beams were working, right? Some of them in tension and some of them in compression. Let me show you. So considering the design of this structure, we can see that the axial efforts are telling us how each of the beams are transferring the load from one side to the other. And the shear and bending efforts are telling us which connections are the critical ones. Not bad, right? Good. After this analysis of beam elements, we could say that solid models are essential when we need detailed stress distribution, especially in local connections. But they don't give you this level of interpretation. They show results, beam elements show behavior. This is why beam elements are not a simplification. They are an equivalent structural model that gives you a completely different level of insights. And this is how engineers actually use beam models in real projects, to understand the system first before going into detail. In the next video, I'm going to show you the most common mistakes with beam elements. because this is powerful, but also very easy to misuse. And if you want to learn how to actually apply all of this in real engineering projects using my validation method, you can find all the details in the description below. Subscribe if you haven't yet. This series will keep bringing you real engineering value. See you in next simulation.